Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Master Tarot. My name is Libby, and on behalf of myself, I'd like to thank the First Nations traditional owners of this Warramai land that I'm on, and thank you for joining me on this journey. Okay, sorry, brain is still a little bit missing. Looks like we're shaping up to be a beautiful day outside. I did record this video. I got about a third of the way through. Kat wanted to go outside, so I paused it to let her outside and continued on and forgot to restart. So I'm recording this again, and it'll be interesting to see if the cards come out with a similar message as to what I had the first time around. What I want to have a look at today is obviously global inflation everywhere is going through the roof. Our Australian government came out the other day and said that we would be expecting to reach 8% inflation by the end of the year. At the moment we're just over 6%, and it is inflation and it's the same in the US, it's the same in the UK, it's the same all the way across Europe, New Zealand, in the Asia Pacific countries, etc., etc. It is not a country-specific issue. It's due to the war in Ukraine, or the invasion in Ukraine, China's COVID lockdown policies, supply chain issues, you name it, blah, da, 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 da. So I want to have a look to see whether on a global scale we'll go into a recession and or depression. The definitions are as recession is 2 or more quarters of negative GDP, gross domestic product growth. The US has already had 1 quarter through to June, and they are on track for a second quarter, July, August, September quarter. And if that is the case, then if it is negative GDP, they will go into recession. Depression is when it's a more extended version of a recession, when you start looking at 6-12 months of negative growth. Then it starts to move into the realms of depression itself. Interesting, though, that there is this negative GDP, because apparently there's something like 11 million unfilled jobs in the US. And it is one of the lowest unemployment rates they've had for decades, which indicates that it is basically at full employment for those that want to work. However, I have a theory behind that there is more to this recession than, or this global awakening, this occurrence, than what meets the eye. Now, it is interesting that the inflation growth are on items that are essential items. So our government, like the US government, like the British government, etc., etc., are putting up interest rates in an attempt to put a handbrake on the inflation. But when you start talking about inflation being on food, essential food items, on fuel, on utility bills, there is only so much belt tightening that people can actually do. You still need to eat, you still need to put your fuel in the car to get to work and to education, you still need to theoretically turn the lights on and have a shower every so often. So there is only so much that you can actually restrict. It's not necessarily discretionary spending that is driving up inflation. I have a theory on this. I think what's happened is that COVID has done a great reset for people's realization of what is actually important in life, what they actually want to get out of life, what job satisfaction they want, etc., etc. So I'm going to have a look at, and after I've looked at this, I'm going to have a look at Iraq to see what's going on there as well. I'll cover that when I get to Iraq. Oh, I've got cards flying out at me everywhere. Nothing particularly of import. Interesting card on the bottom. This card, the greed, the avarice, and this is what I read on earlier. So I'll bring some of my previous reading into this one. So let's have a look. Is the US going to go into recession, which means the rest of the world will most likely follow? Is the US going to go into recession, which is 2 periods, 2 quarters of negative GDP? What did something flip over there, or did it go in properly? No, it must have gone in properly. So it wasn't telling me. Take note. Okay. Is the US going to go into recession? Into recession. I won't talk about depression just yet because I think the governments have a handle on it. Is the US economy going to go into recession? Sorry if I still sound a bit full of it. I've still got a sinusy bit of a head cold floating around. Okay, let's have a look, see what cards pop up this time for me. Okay, oh well, that's a big difference from the one that came out on the last reading, but it has a similar meaning. It is about a new financial start, a new financial way of doing things. In my reading that didn't work out, it was the Death card, which might have been a bit severe. This is probably a little bit more positive in regards to it, but it is about a new way. It's a yes card, but it is about looking at being presented with a new way of actually doing money ventures. Harsh truth coming forward. Victory. Okay, I like that. Complete and utter downfall, which will be quite interesting. But what I'll do, I'll touch on this one first. Is that we have this Ace of Pentacles, which is presenting us with a new financial start, a new way of doing things, a new method of thinking big and working hard towards a great new beginning. And I am drawn to, I don't know if you can see it on this card, there is a path down the bottom there going through an archway. That is telling us this is a time of it is a yes card, but it is a time of a radical change of where we need to rethink how we do things. And below it is this Victory card, which is also a Wands, which is about planning and messages. So what I'm thinking is that in regards to this new way of doing things, it will be successful. There is a harsh truth that needs to be confronted first. And what I'm really getting such a strong pull towards, and I did in the previous reading too, that didn't work, is that this harsh truth is that obsessive capitalism and focusing on perpetual growth of population is not the way of the future, is not the way to go about it. The Western world, every country in the Western world is in negative population growth, is in population decline. Australia, for example, our replacement figures would be 2.1 children per every female. At the moment, our rates are 1.66, I believe, per every female. So we are significantly below replacement level. At the moment, we are replacing with, well, not right at the moment because COVID put the brakes on everything, but traditionally Australia in the last little while has been bringing up the replacement number by immigration. We are a very, very multicultural country, and via immigration. So for the stability, that's how we've been bringing our population up. But in all honesty, there is this harsh truth that the population is in decline, that governments need to move from a obsessive growth to more consumers buy more goods, etc., from obsessive growth to more of a stabilisation. And this is what I'm seeing in this card, as more of a stabilisation, which will be the way that successful governments will go. Now, popping on down, we then have this complete and utter downfall, stabbed in the back. It's all quite a nasty card. It's a 10, it's an ending card. But this is very much about an ending of the way we currently do things. Lots of messages coming forward, lots of plans coming forward, lots of ideas coming forward on how to move forward. It is not going to be an easy path. There's a lot of seediness that needs to be undone to be fully illuminated, because at the end of the day, okay, what I'm going to touch on, and it is going to be difficult, and I've had these cards previously, and I had this card previously as well, the Knight of Wands. So there's a lot of messaging and planning going on here. What is going to happen is that there is going to have to be this harsh truth about the fact that rampant capitalization, which was the Devil card that I showed you earlier, does not work. They're not going to, those that benefit, so what we're talking about is those that are worth hundreds of billions of dollars, approaching the trillion of dollars, which is a phenomenal amount of money that you can't really get your head around on a human scale. I did read something along the lines that if you say $1 million is X number of seconds, $1 trillion is a phenomenal amount of years. So it is just quite obscene, where a lot of these people that are making these hundreds of billions of dollars are paying their workers an absolute pittance, $15 an hour or whatever, which is not a living wage. So I think it's going to be the downfall of this capitalism. The truth is going to be seen that this is not the way we can continue going into the future. There's going to be this massive think tank come forward in regards to how we do it. There is going to be a lot that is unpleasant, that's going to need to be dug up and exposed and analysed. It's not going to be an easy path. However, at the end of the day, it's all about community. And this is your inspirational, passionate plan coming forward in regards to moving forward in financial terms. Now, I'm a bit of a dreamer. I do love the idea of the Star Trek philosophy, where it is a cashless, it is a moneyless society, where if you need something, you press a button, you say, "Can I have my steak and egg sandwich, please?" And your steak and egg sandwich is there. If you need a warm jumper or a pair of cool sandals or something, it's provided to you. But at the end of the day, careers and moving forward, etc., are based on passion, desire, ambition, integrity, honourability, etc., etc. So what I'm seeing is that yes, there is going to be a recession, but it is going to, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen, is a realisation by this harsh truth, this realisation that things are going to have to change, and those that change will be victorious. Those that don't change will find themselves stabbed in the back and trampled underfoot. There'll be these massive think tanks coming out. There will be a lot that needs to be uncovered about how capitalism works, the honesty in regards to the whole growth surrounding growth and income that people get, etc. It is going to be difficult, and it's going to be take time, but it will come back to community. So we're actually in a period of flux and change, which I actually find quite exciting. What I'm going to touch on briefly is, and this is a little bit of a soapbox, is that, and for those that haven't read it, I would suggest grabbing this book and reading it, Utopia for Realists. It's about providing a base income for everybody, so you get enough to buy your food and pay your utilities and basic rent, etc. Nothing glamorous, but enough to get by on if you need to. So that those that want to be involved in professions that don't pay a lot traditionally, so music, unless you reach the upper echelons, music, art, volunteer work, community garden work, all that sort of childcare, etc., that you have, if you want to stay at home and look after your children rather than farming them out to childcare, you do have that option, and it's called a base income. So what happened is that a couple of governments around the world, Canada I believe tried it, the US tried it, and Sweden tried it at different stages, and compiled the results of base income. If you wanted to go out and get yourself a profession, an architect, an engineer, a electrician, a teacher, a doctor, any profession that you felt that you wanted to, that you were drawn to, then yes, you would get paid extra on top for that. However, you would be taxed at a higher rate. So you would end up with extra, but you would be paying tax to cover the basic income that everybody gets as well. So you'd still get that basic income, and then you get extra on top for your job, for your work that you were drawn to. So it is sort of leaning towards that Star Trek model. What actually happened in all these trials that they did, they were incredibly successful. There was this fear that people would decide to sit on the couch and play the PlayStation and do nothing, but they found the actual opposite was true, that people were then free of anxiety and concern and would go out and would be highly contributing members of society in whatever role that they decided they were drawn to. So people weren't forced into employment that they found distasteful and their life was unenjoyable. They were drawn to work that they actually enjoyed. Now, there is a worry. You go, oh, but what about all those jobs like collecting the garbage and stuff like that? Yeah, that still needs to be done, though hopefully by the time we get to that stage there'll be less garbage and more compost bins and better recycling, etc. But what's happening, and it's happening now already, is that even though a lot of companies are bringing their manufacturing back on shore, it's happening in Australia, it's happening in the US, the jobs are not returning as things are being automated. So those menial jobs are being automated. I mean, you even have to look at the garbage collection. We used to have a driver with two guys on the back throwing the rubbish from the bins into the back of the truck. Now it's one guy with a little arm that comes out, picks the bin up and tips it in. So it is slowly becoming even more and more automated. So that's my little soapbox. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do use my intuitive cards. Those who haven't seen them, I make them up. I've made them up myself. Every so often I have a little light bulb about of a card that I want to add to the pack, and the pack's getting quite large now. about just something that just an intuitive read that will tell us a whole story. So what I'm going to have a look at, gosh, 20 minutes and I've only done one tiny little pull. I'm going to do where's that card that flipped over? It's going to be hard work. Going forward, it's going to be hard work. Right, so I'm going to have a read on the economies of the world going forward. The economies of the world going forward. Will we have a base wage? Will we not? Tell me about the economies of the world going forward. Economies of the world going forward. Economies of the world going forward. Right, let's have a look. Come on down. Okay, at the moment we have this swamp. Now for those who haven't seen this, I usually do a full row and then I will read what that row is telling me, and then I'll post the next row. Okay, at the moment we have what I would call a swamp. This is the rampant capitalism. These are people living in poverty while they're working 2 or 3 jobs that they cannot get forward. Families are getting neglected as we try to bring in enough money just to put food on the table and pay the rent. It's just the whole economic system is just bogged down and underwater, which is alien to us. But this is my card for rampant capitalism, rampant abundance. It's a toxic indulgence, and it's foreign, it's alien to humanity, this toxic indulgence of some having everything and others having nothing. Right, it is going to be hard work to change this comfort level, but technological advancements will lead to a rebuilding of the economy. Okay, the economies worldwide. Let's keep going. Okay, so this is about the economies. This isn't about basic wage or anything like that. This is just about the economies at the moment. So it is technology that is going to rebuild the economies. We've got this, every drop in the ocean counts, but it's also about water. A lot of areas of the world at the moment are suffering from lack of water. So we're going to be more aware of our need to conserve water. It's going to be very much a feminine energy that's going to bring. So I'm pinning a lot of this. A lot of the economies moving forward is going to be reliant on water, because without water you can't have crops. Without water you can't have safe drinking water. There's just so much that revolves around it. The hydropower as well. So it's going to be feminine energies that are going to make changes via bringing forward this abundance on a world level with love and happiness. Okay. It's always the women. Okay. Happiness, security, trust, loyalty on an international level that's going to bring fulfillment is going to take time on the home front. This obscene wealth is now under a dark cloud and is facing death. I don't mind that too much. This obscene wealth is going to be under a dark cloud and facing demise rather than death itself, as people wake up that it's not to be respected. Growth, yes, growth will happen. This is poverty, health will be no longer, and it'll be no longer empty. Poverty and health will no longer be empty. We've got this busy as a bee, and it will all be about technology. So this is advancements, technological advancements. This is technology itself and communication. So we've got growth, yes. Poverty, health issues, glass empty, no. The busyness will divide. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Master and Noreen. The appearance of busyness will be divided by technology and communication. Oh, goodness me. Right. This is interesting. Up, in, down, out. It's going, none of it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. The share market, the employment market, the interest rates are going to be up and in and down and out. But trust that this lightning bolt is going to happen, that this aha moment is going to happen, and there is going to be a harsh message coming forward. A harsh message coming forward about what's happened in the past. It's about working together. It's about the future. It's about making a lot of noise. And it's about being in this joy, being in this sun and bullseye. Now, I've got my deliberately blank card. It's not written, but it is about unity, of diversity, of coming together, of working together for those that are brave. So this is about what the future is going to look like in regards to the economy. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be driven by women. But I don't mind these cards that this obscene wealth is going to demise. I don't mind people being wealthy. I don't have a hassle with it at all. But this obscene wealth at the expense of others, I find very distasteful. Okay, well, it's 28 minutes just on that. So what I might do is I might do another recording of Iran. The sun is chasing me across the room here, so I might move to another table. And it's going to be a glorious day. So I'll do Iran in a second reading, so I'll turn up in this jumper again tomorrow. I shall catch you later. Bye-bye.